Welcome back to From Nine to Mom, where we discuss balancing the 9 to 5 hustle with the beautiful chaos we call motherhood. And let's just start with the fact that I forgot my son's parent teacher conference, and I can't believe it. Katie, you already know. I told you right away because I was mortified, but my personal scheduling issues have finally caught up with me, and I'm embarrassed.
Yeah, you give me anxiety, like, when I see, like, the amount of unopened emails, like, that type of thing, and when we were, like, talking about what we wanted this episode to be about today, and I'm like, "Yeah, let's talk about, like, the tech tools that we use," and you're like, "What?"
And the worst part is I'm an Aquarius, so those of you who follow astrology, like we're tech people. I do like technology, but I don't leverage it to balance my personal life with these two kids. And good news, Colton's not in kindergarten yet, so it's like a pre-K. There were
Yeah,
no scheduled times. It was Jordan's birthday, and we were out of town, came
right.
back late, got distracted, but
Yep.
still feel awful. And that's the moment where I realized that I did have to take the advice that I give our business owners every day, leverage technology to make your lives easier and implement it towards myself. So as always, I'm straight to Katie, and Katie told me what to do.
Yeah, and I think if anyone's starting to get to know me on here, I'm OCD with organization as far as, like, events, timing, schedules, all of those things, and it kinda goes hand in hand because Ryan's, like, a techie. He loves apps and, like, stuff that's gonna make things easier. Like, he loves
And that's
every
not
bit of that.
Jordan. Jordan doesn't love technology, so a lot of the tech you requires too.
Yep.
But I do think that the we should jump into the fact that the app that you gave me that I've been using for less than 4 days has completely revolutionized my life. And I think we start there.
And it's amazing because me and Ryan have been using this for 3 years now, but it's called the Cozy app, COZI. And for whatever reason, and maybe someone will say, oh, you should just use your Apple Calendar that goes with your mail, but we could not get it set up properly. Like that it would show on both of ours. We tried joint, we tried
Oh.
inviting each other to it. It just didn't work for us. So we were like, we need something that we can just pull up calendar view. Like I always have to look at the calendar. I can't look at like by week or by day. It has to be the whole month view. And this does that. And it allows you to add on who's supposed to attend what. It gives anybody that has access and notification. So I'm like their visit, like very big advocate right now.
And I think for people, you said you like month view, I like day and week.
Yep.
And I apologize if you hear some binging in the background. It's actually my Outlook calendar reminding me of things
Dinging.
right now. But I like day and week, and I
Mhm.
do a lot of physical writing. As you know, I'm very obsessed with my work
Yes.
agendas. So I'm much more organized in work. And if it's a specific event I'm planning, I'm great. But when it comes to the holistic picture, if it's not written down, it's not happening. I'm a mess. So this Cozy app, Katie,
Yes.
it has a desktop version and it has the app version on your phone.
See, I've never used the desktop. Okay.
The
I
desktop
learned something.
is straight magic, super easy because you
Okay.
use your
I'll be going
keyboard to
on that
type.
instantly here. Yep.
It syncs right up with it. I opened my app. My husband opened his app. We forget birthdays a lot too, which is
Oh, this is
absolutely
the best for
terrible.
that. That's my,
I
like, biggest, like, worry in life, like, I feel so bad when I forget someone's birthday and, like, there's just so much going on right like, how am I gonna remember everyone's birthday?
I don't remember my kids' parent teacher conference. How am I going to remember a birthday? Right now, they're all in there, and I could see
Yeah, we're
birthdays that.
trying to be good people, that's
Right,
all.
I'm trying to be a better person. I can see that tomorrow. I didn't know about kindergarten registration at all
Okay, here
until
we
this
go.
weekend,
Yeah.
and I met a new mom friend at a mother son dance, and she was like, "Are you ready for kindergarten registration?" I was like, "What is kindergarten registration?" So it's at 8 a.m. on Friday tomorrow. So I have
Oh my god.
alerts, 3 alerts set. One for today that I already
Amazing.
got, one for 15 minutes before, and one for 5 minutes before. So
Yeah,
this app for anybody who's looking, and I think when you have two kids, with Colton, I was fine. We had one kid,
yeah,
two of us to one. There was not that much going on. We could
right.
remember everything, write it in a physical calendar, and I
Yeah,
could manage. And I think that's what it comes down to. I manage our household in terms of our
yeah,
social life, our medical, everything. I'm
right,
the house
right.
manager, let's say.
Mhm.
And when I got overwhelmed with having two kids and going back to work, I wasn't managing my household as well as I used to. And I
Yeah,
think for anybody with kids, but especially 2+. Like
Yeah.
Colton is in soccer and football now, and this app has allowed me to put all his soccer and football games in, and then I
Yep.
shared it with my parents who are asking me constantly,
Amazing.
when are these games? So I actually have a placeholder for them at their email where they get alerts anytime it's an event that they're supposed to be at. Like, how
That's so
magical is
great.
that?
That's so great. But that's where I think this was really helpful, is like it adds it on. And Ryan and I have used it now as like a way, we don't really ask each other to do things. Like if he wants to go golf, he doesn't have to ask my permission. He's just gonna, as long as it fits our schedule,
Yeah,
right? Like it fits our
same.
schedule.
Absolutely the same.
That's my thing. Like I'm never, maybe Ryan's friends, if they ever were to hear this, they'd be like, Katie says no all the time, but it's Ryan that says no. And the people that do know him know it's true. He will blame it on me, and I'm the yes person. Like I say yes to everything, and he never wants to do, not that he doesn't want to do anything, but like I get it. He'd rather just be at home with his
You
people.
and I
Like,
are the same that way. I say yes to everything and I want to go all the time. And Jordan's like, eh.
and it's partly, I mean, we've talked about it before. It's partly that Ryan's in the office, 5 days a week around little kids.
Mhm.
Like the last thing he wants to do on the weekend is like go to a big coffee shop with 10,000 kids. Like
No.
it's totally valid. It's valid. And I'm home 3 days a week. So like, I'm like, let's go see people and do something. So we are a little the same with that. But he puts on golf or, whatever it is, he'll put it on the calendar, and that's his way to notify me like, hey, I'm doing this.
But I actually think that's amazing. And I haven't gotten Jordan to use it yet, but I started
Yeah.
putting his stuff on because even me and my sister-in-law, we watch The Bachelor or Bachelor, whatever it is, every week with a
Yep.
group of girls. And we were all set for Wednesday this week. And at her son's birthday party, and we tell the boys Wednesday night we're doing The Bachelor, and no, we have golf. We all have golf. Like, we thought golf was over. They're like, it's the bye week, and now we have it again. So now
And
we
you're
put
like,
X golf on the
okay,
calendar, so I don't
it's
double
on
schedule
there.
us. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And this app does a lot more too. You would think that we're sponsored by it, but we are not. So,
Yeah,
there's
definitely
other apps
no
though that
sponsorship here.
no sponsor, we're open to it.
Yeah.
But there's like so many other apps I feel like that me and Ryan used because of like our OCD control. Like when Jack was born, I remember sitting, so to go back, Jack was in the NICU for a week when he was first born, and we were sitting there and we're like, okay, like this nurse is keeping this kid alive because we don't know how to feed it. Like, thank God we were in there because we were not prepared. Like, we didn't know how to
It's a little extra
I mean,
buffer,
no one
right?
does, but like you got like, it was good training. And we're in there, and the nurse actually suggested to Ryan, was like, hey, there's apps to like track their feeding, their sleep, and diapers. So if you guys are alternating, because we formula fed from birth, so like if you're alternating and one of you is going to go to sleep and the other one's going to do the stuff, like
Yep.
you can put it in the app and you have it. So we used the Nara app for both
Okay.
kids. Jack, we used it for a long time, but it was because we were so controlling about like how much he was eating, and he was going multiple places
First
during the
baby
week.
issues.
And like we were like, how do we know when he ate last? How, when I drop him off, like how will they know like when he needs to
But I
eat?
think
And
that's a fair like reasoning, because you go to the doctor and the first thing they ask you, how many diapers did they had today? And I'm like,
right. And if
I
you
don't know.
are at work 5 days a week, how the hell do you know? Because somebody else is
Yeah.
taking care of your kids all week.
And you feel bad. So I think that app, I know a lot of people use, not necessarily the Nara app, but other apps that tracked. And if they pumped, they used a pump tracking app. I know one of your friends did that as well.
Yes. Yep.
Where I just utilize Outlook and put alerts to remind me, but I could see how much
Yeah.
I was pumping, and it
Yep.
worked for me. But a lot of people use the app, and I was always disappointed that I never knew exactly how much. Like people be like, been pumping for 6 months, pumped X amount of milk.
And
I
you're
had,
like,
I don't
my
know,
kid's fed,
like
I
how many
think.
hours. Yeah, but I do think that's really nice, and it's
Yeah.
very helpful. And the apps do support where you're at in those stages. So with
Yeah.
Jack, you had multiple daycares. You
Yep.
had the NICU, you had you and Ryan. I think that makes total sense. For me, Colton was in full-time daycare. They provided the app. So I
Yeah.
just use their app. So
Yep.
the current daycare is called Tadpoles. We log in. I see what
And
he
you use
ate,
it up. Yeah.
how much he ate. He's 5 now, so he's not getting diaper changes or anything like that. But I get pictures and updates, and
Yeah.
that is
See,
very
that's,
helpful.
yeah, it's so helpful to keep connected to throughout the day, because like when we were on that, especially with Jack, like I think I felt it more with Jack than Calvin, like the guilt of being away initially. Like by the time Cal came around and I went back to work, it was just like, okay, like I'm used to this feeling. And you're just numb to everything, I guess, at that point. But we were going through and like looking at it and like seeing the updates throughout the day, like, oh, we know if he had this much, he's having a good day, or like if there's no naps, like bad day, like you could kind of stay connected in that sense to it. But it definitely helped us overnight. We did it we looked back almost 9 months we used it for Jack. Guess how many we used it for Calvin?
9 weeks. Less?
About like 3 months. And we're like, shit, has this kid eaten? Like, we don't know.
Jack gave him some food. It's fine. He's just got
Jack
that.
just hands him peanut butter, so
I know.
it's
So
like
hey, it works. But I think that another app that we mentioned during the stage is the sleep training apps. I know a lot of people who go through sleep training. I think you bought one, didn't you? A sleep training app?
I did the Moms on Call scheduler because I was sitting up overnight and I'm like, what the heck schedule? Or no, it was when the babysitter first asked me, what's Jack's schedule? And I was like, he doesn't have one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know what it's supposed to be. So then I bought this app and it told me.
So it made you feel better and it helped you track and you knew what was going on.
Yeah, we were like, now I share it with everybody because I'm like, I was the one dumb enough to buy this, but here we are.
And I know that there are a lot of apps for parenting specifically, but I think that as a parent, there are apps not related to parenting that help us a ton too. So for me, my favorite app outside of my new Cozy app, right? Because that's the greatest of all time, is Instacart. I would die without Instacart because between the two parents working, 2 kids, absolute chaos. For a long time, my parents lived here.
Yeah.
The thought of going to the grocery store and trying to either take 1 or 2 of the kids or find a minute was impossible. I saved, it said 444 hours worth of shopping time.
Yeah.
In the last 12 months by using this app.
Yeah.
So if you don't have Instacart or Shipt or one of those, and you're busy and stressed, I know some people love their time in the grocery store, AKA you, Katie, and it's not that I don't love it. It's that sometimes I get overwhelmed and stressed because there's so many options.
Yes.
And then instead of a 30-minute trip for me, it turns into an hour-and-a-half trip. And I've now gotten 6 packs of gluten-free Oreos.
I was going to say, you seem like the impulse buyer too.
100%.
Like if you see like this, I'm getting it. Like,
I worked retail, so I see that end cap and I'm like, yes.
You're like, someone worked so hard on that. I'm into the marketing that they're giving me. I'm going to get it.
I need to improve their sales on this end cap and show them they did a great job. I'll buy 7. Thank you. And I fall for all the deals, like buy 2.
I'm the one where I'm looking at every week I look at the Aldi's thing. I pick out our meals and I like go through like, here's what we're going to eat this week for dinners. Cause we eat in all week usually and then out on the weekends. And I plan all our meals. We have it on the fridge, what we're eating every night. And I get what we're eating and I go clockwork every Friday during my lunch break.
So we plan our meals now, but Instacart, because I plan my meals, I can then order what I need for those meals. But in a pinch, if I forgot something or I need diapers, I can just Instacart it.
Yeah.
But HelloFresh is another app. It's a service, but there's an app for it where I do also order food from them.
Do you guys still do it right now?
I love the food.
All right. So they need to give us a code, but Ryan thinks he's too good of a cook for HelloFresh.
So Jordan's a fantastic cook. What he does, he loves the HelloFresh meals.
Yeah.
Sometimes they get boring, but if you have a chef in your household, which we both do, Jordan will mix and match and like make his own things with it, but it's just a guaranteed meal source.
When I had us on it, we had like the coupons or whatever, and Ryan was like, this is insulting. Like, you don't think I can cook this? And I was like, that's not the point. You can cook it. And he's like, I don't need the instructions to tell me how to make tacos, Katie.
No, but
I get
different.
It, but like it's supposed,
and it's a little spicy.
But it's here. It's decided for us. We have every ingredient that you need. Like, there is a big benefit. We did that in COVID a lot. I did a couple meal things like that.
And I think
COVID.
if you have a baby, like a new fresh baby, that's very helpful to have those 3 meals and not have to stress about it every week. And the other thing is there's the little kid ones too that you can do. And I did that in the beginning for Daisy as well.
Yeah, because that can also be hard. Like, deciding what to eat is so crippling sometimes, especially when I'm getting home on the days I'm in the office. I get home at 5:15, 5:30, and like, we got to have dinner out in 30 minutes or less because these kids are going to be ready, falling asleep at the table if I put it out after 6:15.
Absolutely.
So it's like you have that quick time. You can't be deciding what to eat. But yeah, meal planning is a total
Yeah, we'll
beast.
have a whole nother conversation about that at some point, but a lot of the apps build that in too, which is really nice
Right,
because you
right.
can plan your meals and have that scheduled within there. So I think that's a great tech for me to have because
Yep.
it's a quick button press. I get exactly, what I wanted. That's been a huge time saver for me.
Yeah, I think I don't know that I've done Instacart, and like me and Ryan, when both babies were born, I didn't want freezer meals. I was like,
Yeah,
the
I didn't
last thing I
either.
want is a
No,
frozen lasagna. Like I'm gonna want something good. I want deli meat. I want sushi. Like I want
give
like
me all the deli
alcohol.
meat.
Like
The
that's what I
Pinot's
want.
deli meat is what I want.
Yeah. Like you just want a sub. Like that's all I wanted for 5 days straight. So I was like, just anybody that was asking, I'm like, just send me a gift card. So if someone just had a baby, I think gift cards to Instacart, DoorDash, Uber Eats, whatever it is, that was the
Yes.
best for me.
And that there's an app that they could go on and order what they want and send it in.
Yeah,
I know I sent you one when you had Cal, I
definitely.
think.
Yeah.
And my friends sent me one. And one of the ones they sent me, I can't remember the company, but getting a little off track here. It was for the company where you can order like hometown eats.
Oh, cool.
So
That's
you can
nice.
go to your order stuff from your hometown. So if you're craving something from
Yeah,
New York, for me from New York, like a New York bagel or
that's
whatever it was,
cool.
that was really cool. But I also know that we've talked about tech saving tips for, I don't know if that's time saving, but technology that saved us.
Yeah.
Sorry if there's guys in the car, but period planning,
Oh,
fertility
yeah.
planning,
Oh, yeah.
I still use because I'm not on birth control now. Jordan snip snap, so we're good there. But I'm tracking just so I know when I'm gonna get
Yeah,
my
you have to like
period.
remember like, oh, you can't be like 12 years old and be like, oh, oops, here we go.
Mom, give
Which
me
has
some
happened,
tampons.
which has definitely happened to
Yes.
me. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but you feel like you're like, how old am I when you have a surprise period? Like,
Yeah, what happened? But then you have the excuse after a baby, it's not regulated yet.
yeah. So like you have like a couple, I feel like at this point it's maybe a few years before, I don't know.
It's fine. It's fine. But I
I
use
use,
Ovia.
I use the Flow app,
Okay.
and I used it the second I went off birth control when we were bored during COVID, I guess, and decided we were going to have kids. I was like, I got to remember because birth control is like clockwork, you knew it helped you track.
Yes, absolutely.
Couldn't
You
mess
knew
that up.
everything about it.
Yeah, you couldn't mess that up too bad. But now, yeah, I used it during both pregnancies to see like how big the baby was, the whole thing.
Yeah, and I know that you can for Flow, right? Did it transfer over? Ovia had Ovia, the like period tracker, fertility tracker,
Yeah,
and then
mine's all in
Ovia
one.
pregnancy. Oh, there's
Yep,
two
mine was
apps for
all in
mine.
one. Okay. Okay. Yeah, mine just like flips. You tell it what you're trying to do, or if you are pregnant, you tell them when. And yeah.
Yeah, mine you would say like I am pregnant, and then it would send you to download the pregnancy app. But I did
Like,
find that helpful, and you were able to
yeah.
track progress and things of that in
Yeah.
there. So I don't know. I like
Well, and
those.
to kind of segue over to work side, because obviously there's a lot of mom apps and that, but there one thing that I have used probably for a year, I use it sporadically. I get in like bursts of it. I think I had mentioned like I wanted to read 3 books this year, and I have to cheat at everything. So I downloaded the Headway app, and they like give you spark notes of books.
You sent that to me last year, and
Yes.
I love reading. So in the reading department right now, I'm into the Goodreads app where you can see what your
I
friends
just
are.
got it.
I'm obsessed.
All right, so we need to be friends. I have stuff saved. I've never read anything.
Because then too, like if you're see, else you could see what I'm reading, which is
Yes.
nothing of value to work or parenting at the moment. It's fantasy fiction stuff, but it's fine.
Yeah, that's okay.
But you can kind of see what your friends are reading, and if they're in the same phase
Yeah.
of life or at work, you want to learn. But I do think the
Yeah.
Headway app for 15 minutes a day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if you
Yep.
just want that motivation or a little work kick in the butt, that's a
Yeah.
really good app for
Yep.
that.
Yep. Yeah,
And
I think
Libby
that's
too. I just got Libby,
Libby.
which is if you get your library card. I'm a physical book reader and I do like audiobooks, but the Libby app does have audiobooks on it. So you
Oh,
can go
cool.
on, you get your library card, you log in with your library card, and you can rent audiobooks through the app for free because you have your library
Yeah,
card. So I think that's nice too.
that's a really good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I'm a more physical book person
same.
from all the ones I've read.
All those books that you did pretty good last year. You read a couple books with me last year.
2. The first month. The
Yeah,
first month. You
that's
put 2
accurate.
books in the first month, and that was the challenge for me.
You did it. I'm up to 5 so far this year,
That's
but
great, and we're only
I'm
2 months
pretty
in.
my goal was 12 because last year I didn't meet my goal. I wanted to read 2 books a month.
Hey,
I
you're
didn't
gonna
make
be
it.
halfway there.
I didn't make it either, but the Goodreads lets you put those goals in and kind of tracks that for you
Very
too.
cool.
So I think work-wise, those are great apps. I do think also for work, depending on where you work and what you're doing, if you don't have, even if you have an internal CRM, like we have a CRM that we work our clients with, but I
Yeah.
know both you and I have used Trello or
Yep.
Monday or Airtable to track our tasks and
Yep.
organize our weeks. And I do think that's been very helpful at different times in
Yes.
my career based on how many competing priorities I have.
Yeah, and those programs can be used. You can get a free account and put anything that you want in there, whether it's personal stuff that you have to remember, checklists, that kind of thing, if you're not a physical list person.
Yeah, and I think that even if you are a physical list person, it's a visual physical list. And I know we
Yes.
don't talk about this a lot, but if you have ADD or ADHD or are neurodivergent in any way, you like to see things in a visual
Yeah.
format, and it takes that static list. I love making lists, but it takes a static list and makes it pop.
Yep.
And I do think it's more effective in
There's
that
just
regard.
something about dragging a task to like the next
Feels
stage.
so good.
If you know what we're talking about, you know.
It just feels
Yeah.
so good. But I think that those tools help you in work. And now I'm starting to get into it and researching, haven't done enough yet. But I don't know if any of you listening are business owners or anything like that. But there's now AIs that you can set different responses to things to help you respond to people faster. Also, I have a robo killer, so spam blocker on my phone that really helps during the day with disruptions and things. And those are the kind of pieces of tech that you can layer into your everyday virtual assistants, whatever it is, to help you gain time back. Like, let's be honest, we don't have any time. I text Katie at like 7 a.m. this morning and told her that I went to bed at 2 a.m. because Daisy didn't want to sleep. I was woken up at 6 by my son. My husband had no offense, sorry, Jordan. He had made me mad by 6:15, and I was on like 7th cup of coffee by 7 a.m., like just killing it. So there's days where that's a perfect day, right? But that's our reality. And if you can put anything in that makes it easier, hell, I'm going to try.
Well, and I think that's a good point is like, how did we go this long without talking about AI? But I think I always think about AI for like making my work life easier because of the nature of what we do. Have you asked it anything for personal use?
Oh, yes. So let's talk about AI and what I've done. My kids, I've written them a few books at this point, so they'll want to hear a story. So if you're talking about bedtime, like Colton really wanted a story about him and Daisy being avocados on an adventure with sloths. So I told them exactly how many pages I wanted my book to be, what I needed the characters to be, and they wrote me multiple versions. They wrote me some stories about I asked them to write me a story about the little weenie that could. It's a hot dog that it writes stories, the kids laugh. I've asked it to give me suggestions on different foods, like when Daisy I didn't know what to feed her, like what are some different foods. But my favorite use of AI at this point has been to do fun stuff for my kids. And it's awesome.
I never even thought about to do stories because I'm so bad at like making like improv like that. Like Jack listens to me and Ryan only do like the Three Little Bears, Three Little Pigs.
We tell stories we read every night, and I get sick of the same stuff. So this gave me some content. So if anyone wants to draw, wants to illustrate my avocado novel or the little weenie that could, let me know. I'll send it over to you. That would be great
because we get in but I think we've made Jack like us, me and Ryan, like the routine. I don't know how many times I can say that on this podcast, but Jack has the same 3 books that we read every night, and now he memorized them, so he just says them.
Yeah, which is great though. That's really good for their learning, honestly. Where our routine at nighttime is we read a book, but sometimes it's a physical book, it's a read aloud on YouTube, or it's a ChatGPT story or OpenAI story that we've created. So I have used it for some aspects of personal life, but I think there's a lot of untapped potential there in terms of making our lives easier.
You guys out there got to let us know what you're using out there, whether it's AI or apps, because obviously there's so much that we don't know.
There's an endless amount of apps when you look parenting, work, life, whatever it
Right.
may be. The Calm app I had for a really long time because I had insomnia when I was pregnant. So, I would listen to Harry Styles, put me to bed or something. But there's so
Love it.
many pieces of technology to make our lives easier. So if you know of any great ones that you think other people would benefit from, maybe we'll put together like a top 10 list,
That would be great. Cozy will
right?
be number one.
Obviously, if you now in 2 weeks it could be different, but as of right now,
It's
numero
great.
uno for sure.
I love it. Well, I think it's time for us to clock out and clock back into the 9 to 5.
See y'all next week.